About 8 months ago, I switched my entire productivity system from digital to analog. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I made this decision, and I will show you my very simple yet effective approach to analog productivity that has helped me to live a more focused and effective life in a distracted world. Let's get into it. Now, over the last couple of years, I felt more and more unhappy about my former digital productivity system. And the main reason for that was that I kept getting distracted. I mean, when you're working on a computer or on your smartphone, the problem is that the next distraction is just one click away. So whenever I was trying to be productive, it didn't take very long and I was doing something entirely else. The second problem I had was that my productivity system had become this monstrous and very overwhelming liability that was supposed to help me, but in fact I spent a lot of time to manage the productivity system itself rather than being productive. And it actually held me back from doing the things I actually wanted to do. So I decided to try something entirely else. Something that came without distractions and wasn't that complex. And the obvious answer was going analog. Using a notebook and an analog calendar to run my professional and private life. Now, I have to say that I was quite skeptical about this because I like technology. I like how efficient it can be, and I immediately saw the downsides an analog system would have. But I decided to give it a try anyways. So here is how my current productivity system looks like. I basically use two tools. A small little pocket notebook and a small little pocket calendar. Now, the notebook I basically use to capture and to manage my tasks. I usually have a long to-do list in here to write down everything I need to do in order for me not to forget about it. I also use it to track my progress on certain tasks. I'm capturing ideas, like video ideas for this YouTube channel, for example. And I sometimes even use it to write text in there to create something or to solve a problem on the page. So my pocket notebook basically serves as a small extension of my brain. Now, one challenge with analog productivity is that it can be kind of tedious to organize it, because obviously you cannot create endless subfolders in here. You can also just not search it like you could on a computer. So you have to be pretty cautious about how you structure your notebook. One thing that helps me to stay on top of my notebook is to create a small index at the beginning of it. I also like to use sticky notes to point out very important pages, like my to-do list. I refer to that very regularly, so I want to know where it is in my notebook and I want to find it as quickly as possible. And then another thing I do is on every page, I usually write the topic or the function of the page on top, and then I put a small little box around it so that I know immediately what the notes are about when I'm flipping through my notebook. The second tool I use is my analog calendar, and this I basically use for time management, planning my days and my weeks, reminding myself of meetings and appointments. Now, one of the biggest challenges about this small little pocket calendar was that it was that small, and you basically only have a few lines every single day to plan your day in. But I actually like to plan every single hour of my day up front, to be very clear about what I do and when I do it. Now, I wanted to have this small little calendar to be as convenient and small as possible. So I had to find a workaround to make it work the way I wanted it to work. Because before, in my digital productivity system, I used Google Calendar. And the great thing about digital calendars is that they basically provide you with unlimited space. So I basically had to find abbreviations for certain things. Now, only having 6 or 7 lines in here to write in, I decided to cut them in half, so I could basically assign every line a time slot of an hour from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sometimes I even cut these already halved lines into half to have access to half-an-hour slots. So as you see, it's incredibly simple, but I think that's the great thing about it. Now, the greatest benefit actually is that I can sit down with my notebook and my calendar and just be productive without even being dependent on a device, and I'm just not as distracted as much. Obviously, I still work on a computer a lot. I'm writing and I'm editing text on there, I'm making social media posts at work, I'm creating newsletters, etc., etc. But the great thing about separating my productivity system from that device is that I feel way more in control and I don't get distracted as often. And by the way, I also enjoy the slowness this brings to my day. Yes, analog productivity can be quite inconvenient in comparison to digital tools, just because it's way slower. But that can also be a good thing, because sometimes slowing down will actually help you to think and to come to better conclusions. And ever since I started using an analog system, I also am not as stressed and rushed as I used to be. So I hope this kind of helped. I hope you're having a nice day, and maybe I'll see you soon. Goodbye.